Hey guys, welcome back to another Sunday video. I figured we'd do something a little different this week. Usually on Sundays you will see an Exploring Hogwarts Legacy video. I figured because of the fact that we have so many Exploring Hogwarts Legacy videos that we're at the point where we're just kind of exploring the towns around and they haven't been getting that many views, I figured I'd put that series on pause for the moment and talk about something that I've been doing a lot more in my free time, the little free time that I have with a full-time job and being a dad and having a YouTube channel. But that's Minecraft. And so I kind of wanted to start a series that might replace Exploring Hogwarts Legacy on most Sundays at least, where every week we do a little update of what's going on in my Minecraft world. So I'd like to introduce you here to this town that I'm starting to build. First of all, the main town of this world is called Briarwood. Now, what I'm doing with most of this town is it's based off of Switzerland. And so there's 26 different towns based on the 26 different cantons of Switzerland, and most of it is based around Bern, which I've renamed Briarwood for the sake of my Minecraft world. Where we are at right now is a part of the town which is called, I gotta find it here. This part of town, bear with me, is called Shrive. So this is based on the Swiss canton of Zug. And what we have here are, I'm starting with the stadiums first. So each, kind of like European soccer, right? Each town is going to have a soccer team. But I figured for the sake of my world, I love building baseball stadiums. So not only is each town going to have a soccer team, but they're also going to have an American football team, a baseball team, and a hockey and basketball team. So 3 separate stadiums. Some cases too, I decided to do multi-purpose stadiums, but the football and soccer teams will all play at one. The baseball team usually has its own, and then we have basketball and hockey together in the town's arena. Right here, so all of the different stadiums are going to be based off of actual stadiums. Not to a T, but very, very closely based off of them. This right here is Pepsi Field. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to change that logo based on the fact that Pepsi has announced their new logo this year. But this is based on Tropicana Field, which is home of the Rays. Now, I've been there in person. I've been to all of the professional ballparks. And Tropicana Field is probably the most unique ballpark in the MLB. It's a dome. I've decided not to make this a dome because I wanted the dimensions to look that much weirder. So I've kind of got these 2 half-circle things going. Obviously, the stadium is nowhere near completion. But it's got all of the dimensions of Tropicana Field here, just without the seats all complete. And I've also flipped the outfields. So left field is over on the right side, right field is over on the left side. And I've done that for most of these stadiums. Behind here is going to be my replication, I guess you could say, of Lumen Field in Seattle. So right there, I'm working on that big kind of diamond end zone section that Lumen Field has. But this one, what did I decide to name this one? They're all kind of parody sponsor names. So this one is called HP Park. Lumen is a technology company. I figured we'd go with HP for that one. But those are the stadiums in, like I said, in Shrive. So everything is set up on a grid system right now. And right now we are 0 north-south, but 2 east. So what I'm going to want to do is get on this high-speed rail system I've built here. And actually, we're missing a section here. So I think I used, let's see here, polished blackstone wall. This is the fastest way to travel that I know of in Minecraft, is using boats on ice. And it actually works faster if you use glass for the sides instead of walls. But I used walls for the sake of, I didn't want to screw up on the building. So let me find a boat here. I think I'm going to go with mangrove because I like the color. So we're going to click that. Now, the way I built it is I wanted the towns to be spread out far enough from each other. So when I placed the ice blocks down, I timed it myself, and it took me 5 minutes, basically, between each town of me just constantly placing packed ice. Now, with the boat, I can usually get there in just around a minute, a little less, a little more in some cases. But this is the fastest way to travel. So while we travel from 2 east to 1 east, and then we'll get to the main hub, which is, like I said, that Briarwood Bern is, like I said, the analogy for Switzerland. I don't know why I chose Switzerland. I like Switzerland for some reason. I just didn't want it to be super Americanized or centralized to any other country that you guys might be from, and I don't know that I have any listeners from Switzerland. But that being said, we are traveling from Schrive, like I said, that is 0 north-south, 2 east, and we're going to Lanceter, which is based on Lucerne, Switzerland, which is 0 north-south, 1 east. And over there, eventually, like my ballpark is going to be based on Citi Field in New York. The arena is going to be based on Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, and the stadium is going to be based on Acrisure Stadium, formerly Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. But I've used different colors for most of these. And like I said, most of these stadiums are very, very far from completion. This one here is, like I said, that Citi Field. I really miss sliding pits, so I've used sliding pits for a lot of these stadiums. But as you can tell, I switched the outfields again. You can't really see it in the dark, so I do apologize. But instead of the bridge being in right field, now it is in left field. So this will be my replication of Citi Field. I've decided to call it, where's it at here? I've decided to call it MetLife Field to stick with that New York kind of vibe here. And then this is, like I said, that Climate Pledge Arena. I decided that I was going to put tennis courts in the middle of most of these because they do fit. So one thing I'll note is if you're familiar with Minecraft dimensions, each cube is supposed to represent 1 by 1 by 1 meter. So as close as I possibly could, all of these dimensions, including the baseball and football stadiums, are the correct dimensions. So this hockey arena is, I think, 27 wide by 61 long, which is the closest you can get in the metric system for an NHL-sized hockey rink, while having a center. Because I think it's 26 meters wide, but I wanted to have a center block, so that's why I made it 27. So you see the hockey boards surrounding it. Eventually I'm going to put like tunnels in the corners. But this is a clay tennis court in the middle of what will be Climate Pledge Arena, which I've decided to rename. Where's it at here? The Chrome Center, after Google Chrome. So, and then we have the glass on the, I almost said the end zones, on the ends of the arena like you have at Climate Pledge. So we'll go back on the high-speed system. I really want to focus on Briarwood Central for now. So Briarwood, like I said, is the center, the capital city of this world that I've built. It has, so far, the most buildings of any of the different locations. Most of these cities are literally just the shells of stadiums right now. Eventually, I'm going to try to have a distinct architectural style or block in use for the color of the city. And that way, each city kind of has a distinct form. Let's do Cherry for this one. Now, in between Lanceter, which is 1 east, and Briarwood, which is 0-0, north, south, east, west, I have the Country Club, which I actually built before the high-speed system. So what you're going to see here is it goes underground underneath the Country Club, and it stops it. So I got to figure out a way to not have that happen, but I haven't figured that out yet. So instead, we are going to go straight here toward the Country Club, which we're going to hit eventually. You'll see a bunch of trees. And if you're not into golf, you could probably skip ahead about 20 minutes on this video. I actually don't know if it's going to take us 20 minutes to get through this, but let me just make sure real quick that we are still recording. Okay, I just sometimes get paranoid that my videos stop recording. So what we see here is Augusta National Country Club, kind of, without the elevation changes. I decided to be lazy and not do elevation changes. But eventually, on the outskirts of the Country Club, we're going to have a whole bunch of different mega mansions and big houses. This one here is based on a house that I designed when I was like 6 or 7, or not that young, excuse me, in 6th or 7th grade. And it was basically, it's 4 towers that are connected by sky bridges. And of course, each one has to have its own staircase so you can get to all of the different floors, that sort of thing. This one's unfinished, but I'll show you the complete or the near completed house that I have against the Country Club here. But like I said, all of the outside of the Country Club is going to be surrounded by houses, more specifically, really nice ones. So I'm going to backtrack here, and I want to go through all of the different holes because each one, if you're familiar with Augusta National Golf Club, or golf course, whichever way you want to put it. It used to be an arboretum. There's the other side of the high-speed rail system, which we'll get back to. But if you're familiar with Augusta National, it used to be basically like a flower and plant sanctuary. And so each hole is named after a different plant or tree or flower. And so in replicating it, and like I said, it's just the rough shape of Augusta. That's what gave me inspiration. But I decided to surround each hole by a specific tree, and then each successive round of trees surrounding it is a different tree. But we start on hole 1 here, and this one is obviously oak. So it's a dog leg left. There you see the dimensions. That's in yards, which are kind of analogous to meters. But basically the dimensions are near as close as I possibly could without that elevation change. So hole 1 here is oak. It's got a fairly wide fairway. Like I said, that dog leg right. There you see the green at the end there. Now, my wife was asking me this question: why are the greens so dead and the rest of the fairways so dry? Well, it's because in making shorter grass, I decided that this was my best option. So I don't have really flags on each hole. I just do have these kind of glass sticks. But that is the end of hole 1 there. Now, if I don't have the paths built yet. This took me forever to build in the first place. But hole 2 is right next door. So you dig your way through the forest that I've yet to carve out. And this is hole 2, which is spruce. So it's a par 5, 575 yards. We are going to take a dog leg left and then another dog leg left. It's kind of a straight 90-degree left angle by the end of the hole. You see cherry trees on the outside here, but hole 2 is a very long one, surrounded by spruce trees. I had to up my, what's it called? Not my specs, but my tick, just to make all these trees grow as fast as I wanted to, especially when we get to something like the bamboo, you'll notice. But that's the end of hole 2 there. We get to hole 3. I got to remember which way. So that's, yeah, it's going to be on this side here. So hole 3 cuts back. It's a straight, I think it's a par 3. Where's my, there we go. It's par 4, short par 4, 350. This is dark oak. So we head all the way down here, just straight par 4, about a mid-width fairway. And then we move on to hole 5, which is right behind it. And this is mangroves. So these are the new trees that they added to Minecraft. Our tee box is back here. The wood is very red. So this is a par 3, 240 yards, basically just straight away through these vines. Would be kind of a difficult drive to get through. But eventually I might clip some of these trees. But like I said, all of these grew on their own accord. So it kind of took me a while to get right. Par 5 is going to, or excuse me, hole 5 is going to be behind it. I think I just called that one hole 5. That was hole 4. This is hole 5. It's par 4, 495 yards. This is bamboo here, obviously. So you go all the way down in this direction. And it's got a slight dog leg left at the end of the hole here. The back 9 of Augusta, for me at least, is a lot more fun than the front 9. So as soon as we get to the back, I'll show you what I am talking about with that. So that is hole 5 there. Hole 6, you dig your way through the bamboo here. And this is the cherry hole. Hole 6, 180 yards, short par 3. Eventually, I'm going to put a river right here that you have to go over because that's how that same hole is at Augusta National, but that is the cherry hole. Behind it, this is going to be, this is hole 7, and most of these trees aren't growing the way I want them to. So let's do some nipping. There we go. I won't worry too much about the trees not growing right now, but this is going to be the jungle hole. Eventually, I'm going to work through these and make them a little cleaner, especially on the front. The back 9 is pretty well developed, but the front 9, I think, needs some work, especially on the tree growth, as you can tell. But hole 7 is the jungle one. Hole 8 is over to your left. This is the acacia one, or acacia, however you want to pronounce that African tree. Par 5, long par 5, 570 yards, of course, no extra growth between the holes over here that I have to work on. But this one circles around all the way to the back there. And I won't waste your time too much, but it goes all the way to the back, and then you tuck over to hole 9, which is the birch one right here. And so we'll just shorten it up over here, and you're back like pretty much every golf course you're going to find. Holes 1, 19, 10, and 18 all converge at kind of this central spot. Eventually, I'm going to put the clubhouse right here. So here we are on the back 9. This is hole 10. So this is another oak one. Holes 1 and 10 are both oak. Holes 9 and 18 are both birch. But then in the middle, they do switch it up a little bit. So you can start to see kind of this undergrowth behind that I've started to map out a little bit. This is another dog leg left. And then we get to hole 11, which is the start of, if you're familiar with Augusta, this is called Amen Corner. And I'll show you why they call it that. So this one here is going to be a long, I believe it's a par 4, very long par 4. So I've surrounded it by spruce trees. The left embankment on hole 11 at Augusta kind of has this almost mulchy, coniferous feel, so I kind of wanted to replicate that with the big spruce trees. And then it's got a slight dog leg right here, and this is where the elevation, the lack of elevation, kind of makes this really dull. So you have this huge open space here that I'm going to freshen up with some rivers, and then you have this short par 3 here, which I've made cherry, and this goes over a little stream here that's not there, obviously, into this corner, which they call Amen Corner. And they call it Amen Corner for a variety of reasons, mostly because it's so peaceful. It's the most beautiful part of the course, and like I said, mine is underdeveloped and needs some water to really bring this thing home. But that house that I just mentioned earlier in the video is right back there on the back of hole 11. Here you see the tee box to 13. This is called Azalea at Augusta National, but this right here is just big jungle trees. So this one's going to be a dog leg left. We go by 11 and 12 right there, Amen Corner. And we're going to pause about halfway through the hole to go check out this mega mansion that I have built on the side here. So I can't remember. I think I called this like Villa Athletica or something. I'm going to put a link to the Instagram. I have an Instagram that covers all of these builds. If you want to go check that out, I'm going to kind of make the two channels kind of connected, but you see a large yard that's underdeveloped there. Most of the interior of this house is done. But it's kind of got this modern stone feel. Eventually, this is going to be a huge driveway that I haven't cut out and built yet. It's got this really weird concept that I think I designed this when I was like 15 or 16. It's got an infinity pool over the front entrance, which is kind of gaudy and kind of ugly, but I thought it was such a weird idea, I wanted to include it. So it's got 2 pools, one outside right here and one inside, which we'll get to. And I might put one in the backyard as well. But a variety of bedrooms. Most impressively here, this side of the house is really not finished by any means, but we'll circle around the whole thing. The kind of centerpiece of this house is this atrium. I got this idea, I think we were staying at like a Hilton or like a DoubleTree in Detroit when I was like 12 years old. And it had this atrium, and I was like, this would look so cool in a billionaire's house instead of just this hotel. So on the left side here, these are going to be bedrooms. There's bathrooms in the corner. And then this is a boardroom. On the left here, we have an indoor basketball court, which is not that big. It's not unheard of. There's a guy who lives in the same town as me who has a house with like a side basketball court like this, and it's not very large. It's still impressive that he has a basketball court in his house, but it's not like as impressive as you'd think something like Shaq's basketball court would be. But this house, obviously designed for a billionaire. This is the artificial ice room. If you're a hockey player, that's where you would practice your skating. Over here, this is a link to one of the 2 garages. So this is one of the garages here. This is a link to the kitchen, which is unfinished and sits on the back side of the atrium here. This here is like a floor hockey space or just a playroom. There's a bathroom that's unfinished. And then you go through the kitchen, that's the pantry there. This is the unfinished dining room area. That's a doorway outside. This is the great room, which is unfurnished, but it has all of the lighting fixtures, a space to go outside. And then in the back here, a mudroom which leads into the second garage. So there are 3 separate staircases, 2 of which are in the atrium and 1 of which is here in the great room. So let's circle around up here. Like I said, this side of the house very unfinished. But above the dining room is a theater, like a literal play theater, which has a slight backstage area that you could make even more backstage with stuff like curtains. But I got that idea from the music room at the White House, which Bill Clinton put in the 90s. This is an art gallery where most of the paintings are the same because that's how Minecraft works. I haven't decided what this long room is going to be yet, but there are those double staircases in the atrium. This is an office study area that's not the main library. This right here is a bedroom. All of these are going to be bedrooms along the side here. This is, what did I decide to put there? I think that's another study area. But then this is just a den space, so a big screen TV there, unfurnished obviously. This is that pool up above the front entrance. More look at the atrium there. And then over here, this right here is going to be the library, which you can't access from the second floor, but you can access from the first floor. More bedrooms here. This is going to be the music room. This is a workspace slash like metalworking, woodworking area. I don't know why I carpeted. Actually, I do know why I carpeted it. It's so it doesn't look tacky below. But then this is just a hangout area. Eventually, I'm going to put office spaces up here. We go back down to the great room and then circle to the other side of the unfinished house. This is the movie room here, which you could put doors or curtains there. This is going to be an arcade right here. And then like a dance studio and a weight room here. Over here is the indoor pool, which I think is based on one of the greenhouses at Buckingham Palace, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember where I got inspiration for all of these houses and buildings from. More bedrooms, and then if you circle around by the main entrance, this door right here is going to lead into the library. So that is, like I said, I think it's called Villa Atletica. I could be wrong about that. Go check out the Instagram with the link in the description. There is the green to hole 14, or excuse me, 13. We move to the tee box on hole 14, which is a mangrove hole. Kind of tough. Like I said, you got to circle around these vines, a very thin fairway, so very difficult hole here. And you can obviously tell that I put more work in the undergrowth behind the main trees here. So very thin fairway. We go all the way down to the green on hole 14. And then I think it switches back here. If we move through this opening right here, hole 15 is going to be dark oak. Another dog leg left here. Slightly. It's more of a straight, actually. I misjudged how open I made this this fairway. Behind it is hole, 16? This is the bamboo one on the back 9. Oh, gosh. I don't know why it showed up in white ink, but there it is. This is hole 16, like I said. And then we move to hole 17, which is behind here. It's the acacia one, acacia. This side, the undergrowth needs work. That side is fine. So this is hole 17. And then, of course, we move to hole 18, which is the last birch hole. So there you see kind of the more developed part of the golf course. This took me forever to build, so it's going to take me forever to finish. I do apologize. But if we follow here, this dogleg right, is that right? Yeah, it's got to be. This dogleg right, this birch one, we're going to follow it to where the country club is going to be. But to save us time, we're going to go back on the expressway here. And we're going to work our way back to downtown Briarwood. I say back, you guys have not yet been there. So If we take this should take us right into downtown, and we will explore downtown Briarwood just for this video before calling it a day. And like I said, I will hopefully record more of these to get out to you probably every Sunday, maybe every once in a while. That's a look at the unfinished arena in Briarwood. Briarwood has the most developed arenas of all of them so far. None of the other buildings in Briarwood are really worked on or complete by any means. But we'll get to the end of the station here. I have not built the actual train station around any of these yet. I am hoping to do so very soon, so it doesn't look as tacky as the 4 points that I already have. Like I said, the city is built on a grid system, and to make things less complicated for me, I decided that the only way to go north-south in any of these were to follow the 0 grid and the 1 north grid. So what I mean by that is everything along the 0 north-south grid and south, in order to get south, you have to travel along the 0 north-south track. You can't get there by going south and then east. You have to go there by going east or west and then south. And same with the 1 north track. In order to get north of 1 north, you have to go along that track. You can't go north and then west or east. So the first building we're going to come across here is the football/soccer stadium. This is called Sanford Park, named after Sanford Health, which is a hospital system near the area where I live. Most of this stadium is kind of freeform, but a lot of what it's based off of is Audi Field in Washington, D.C., which is home to my favorite soccer team, D.C. United. It's obviously a lot bigger than that. I haven't counted exactly, but my estimation is about 47 to 53,000 that this would hold. So the difference is, obviously, there are more stands. There are larger stands here. Let's see, this direction, sun sets in that direction, which is west. So this is south. So the south stand here, it's got this tiny little board in the corner, but this is based off of St. James Park at Newcastle United, or in Newcastle, home of Newcastle United. It's got this double-tiered stand. So the double-tiered stand is based off of the sideline stands at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, where the Vikings play. It directly contrasts the steep end zones here. Obviously, this is right now set up for soccer, but if you look closely, you can see the football lines turfed over. So it's got the double tier here. It's got the supporters end there. You can tell it's a little steeper, even than this side here. And then it's got, let's see here, it's got club seating here, and then it's got 3 different levels of boxes, and then a 10-row upper deck. So this is the south stand here. The east stand, or the supporters end, is, like I said, a lot steeper. It's got kind of this tiny upper deck section here. I originally was just going to have a plaza behind it, but I decided if we're going to put a professional American football team in there, it's got to be a lot larger than 30,000 seats. So that is why I expanded it the way I did. Over here it's kind of like the Heineken Plaza at Audi Field. This is the Michelob Ultra supporters deck. It's going to be 3 levels of various bars that just kind of sits in the corner here. This is the north stand here, which I've called the quiff end. And the reason I called it the quiff end is it kind of looks like a hair quiff there. So that design, I kind of got a little inspiration from the Shanghai circuit, the Chinese Grand Prix. But this has that split lower section, a club section here, and then it doesn't have any boxes. It just goes straight to a 15-row upper deck. And then last but not least, the west end. So it's got the main video board here. Again, smaller than most stadiums, but just kind of a standard, what would that be, 30-degree angle seat there. And then oh gosh, is that even... That might be 20 rows. I actually don't know, but it's got a double tier here. And then I added this little corner section here because the corner was looking really dull. This is kind of taken from something like the corner sections at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. But that is the inspiration for this stadium, Sanford Park. And then I do have a few locker rooms built so far. So the football team that plays here, their color scheme is royal blue and lime. So it's kind of like the Seahawks, but more of a royal blue than a navy. But these guys are called what do I call this team? The Cobras. This is the Cobras locker room here. Just not really based on any specific locker room. I guess it's kind of a mix between the Packers and the Steelers. And then the other section here, there's a bunch of tunnels. So this is the main football tunnel. Of course, you're going to have the soccer tunnel where the soccer tunnels usually are. And over here, I have the visiting locker room. So I have a pair of visiting locker rooms for the soccer teams. One is red, one is blue. Here's the red one here. And then the blue one right across the way. So that is the soccer stadium here. Right next door is going to be the baseball stadium. Eventually, you'll see signage. This will be called Best Buy Field. Again, this one is another kind of freehand one, but if I had to name inspiration for it, the very obvious answer would be Minute Maid Park in Houston. So again, I flipped the outfield, so the Crawford boxes would be in the right field area here. This also takes a little inspiration from the new Globe Life Field in Texas, which many baseball fans would argue is basically the same thing as Houston anyways. And then the dimensions are actually taken directly from Target Field in Minneapolis. So it's basically a mix of the two Texas ballparks with the dimensions of Minneapolis, plus the raised circular bullpen here of Toronto. And then, of course, I put cherry trees in the outfield, which I didn't realize would grow as tall as they do, so it's blocking some seats. But a big video board in the right field corner there. The visitors' bullpen is actually underneath the stands here, but it's unbuilt. The home bullpen, obviously, right there. There's the main video board in straight left field underneath what will eventually be the completed roof structure. Obviously, it's open right now. There's this center field bar. I can't remember what I named it, if it was like Copperhead or Copper Dog or something like that. Here are obviously the tracks on which the glass windows and the roof would pull across the stadium here. This would hold about probably 40,000 roughly. But then this is going to be an exterior wall. It's going to have really weird dimensions when the roof is open. But then on the other side, you see a similar track here. One thing to note, another stadium just kind of quirk that I took is the two baselines are differently shaped. And what I mean by that is, so you see these cutouts, which I took from Cincinnati. Cincinnati only has one, but you'll see one goes down further than the other. And the reason for that is this side has club seats, one single box, and then upper deck. Whereas this side has club seats, two set of boxes, and then a small upper deck. So different sides here. That one I actually took from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. They also have kind of a switch about halfway over on their upper deck on how it's shaped. So this will be the curtain wall here. This is going to be a support structure for the roof, which I haven't decided how I want to design that yet. This will be the main concourse here. Obviously, I don't have locker rooms built for this, but like I said, that is Best Buy Field. And then last but not least, you go across the street here, and this is Midco Arena. Midco is a cable and internet provider in my area. So most of these are localized for me, the sponsorships at least. Best Buy is based out of Minneapolis. But this here, the exterior, I haven't really based off of anything specific, but the interior, at least the lower level, is very obviously based off of Memphis. So why I say that is Memphis has basically a horseshoe of a flat lower level, and then it's got club seating. And on one of the ends, the club seats actually stretch down in a very steep manner and become the lower level of just that end zone, or end line, I guess you could say, the one of the ends of the basketball court. This one is also built for hockey. You can see the boards covered behind here, as they would be for basketball. But I haven't built any of the upper deck staircase patterns yet, but then obviously you see just kind of this box and restaurant section in the back here. But this is home to the, what I call the teams. The Pharaohs are the hockey team, and the Infinity are the basketball team. So obviously right now set up for basketball, but like I said, there's that lower horseshoe, and on the one end, the club seats stretch down to become the lower level. And then it's got a single row of boxes. You see kind of a weird section on that one end. The scoreboard is nowhere near big enough, but I will fix that eventually. And here is the upper level there. So that being said, I think I'll bring this video to a close. This was Briarwood. So I will show you all around. Like I said, there are 26 different towns. About 20 of them are built in some capacity. Most of them are just stadiums. The only other one that really has any development to it, and I think we'll get to that one next episode, is Zaxton, which is based off of Zurich. So we will explore that hopefully next episode, but check the channel. Probably every Sunday, I'll try to do an update on the Minecraft world, just show you around things that I have been developing and that sort of thing. So that's all I got for you. See you very, very soon.